views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in this podcast are the content creator's own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of Essex County College. The material and information presented here is for entertainment and informative purposes only. It should not be considered as professional advice or a substitute for seeking professional guidance.
Hello and welcome back to yet another episode of LONER. Hopefully my voice doesn't sound as weak as it was. I actually tried to record myself and give you a little message to the film club, but turns out I just really hate my voice. So I just want to make a whole response to the club fair that happened 2 weeks ago. So Angela came up to me and just said whether I was going to come back to the film club. This is what I'm going to say right now. I don't want to go ahead and deal with Stockholm Syndrome and think I was going to come back because I was a disappearing member. When it came to the first film that I was supposed to contribute in, I was supposed to be the sound operator. And then the day you shot this at the office, somewhere, you took that job and, gave that to someone else. And it turns out that video only, just ended up being a film club promo with some post-production voiceovers. So I didn't really see a point of that. Now, when it came to my second participation, which was Carousel, at least I got something out of it, but, it was only for stills photography and just testing on my camera called Wednesday at Military Park. Now I remember why I said already I was not going to release that video. The audio quality suffers from everything. So everything that was recorded on that built-in mic was ruined. That was only because at that time it was like a windy day, and afterwards I just never came back. I guess when you did shot the rest of the scene, you were just you did what you did. I didn't really have to roll afterwards because I decided maybe I should go ahead and leave home, and I did what I had to do. At least there was one benefit out of it. I actually met Jerry back at the film club, and that's something about it. That's now only because I only see him more often when he comes to Professor Wager's class, or whenever I see him in the MPT room here at Essex County College. You also asked me, whether you were mean to me. Whether they were too mean to me. No. Nothing about it had anything to do with you being mean. When it came to Interfront Productions, I was only there just because I wanted to go ahead and, contribute. I barely even did anything. So I decided to go ahead and leave because I was frustrated, and so I decided maybe it was a good idea to start Go City Incorporated. Richard, out of all, decided to go in and support my podcast. So he supported that non-verbally. So I don't really see what's really the point for me to go ahead and continue when I'm going to make my own videos. I'm going to keep making videos, but I'm also going to focus on music. It's more like this. There are better clubs that want me, even though they don't. It's not that they want me to come to their clubs, even if some of them do, like the music club, which I'm going to join afterwards. So again, if you do want me to come back, give me a reason why, because I don't want to go ahead and just come back to you and then just do nothing for 2 hours or so. Unless if I have some film experience and some screenwriting experience, which neither I have. Or at least for screenwriting, I have no idea what I'm doing. Filming and editing, I have, 2 more boys. I have 2 boys who are helping me out. And those names are Eric and Jazzy. So at least they know me for a little bit. So if they know me, then, I just do what I do. But in response, I'm going to say this. This is not about whether Asa or John is better. This is not about whether Instrument Productions or Go City Incorporated is better, because both of them are independent. Both of them are 2 different companies. Only one of them is more heavily supported by the college. Mine doesn't really. I'm not really profiting anything. That's all I can really say. So if you don't want me to come back again, don't go ahead and just treat me like I'm nothing to you. Don't go ahead and just try to abandon me again and then tell me whether you were mean to me and then just say, come back because you want me to go ahead and contribute to a film, and then and then just realize I'm not going to film. I'm not going to go ahead and edit because someone else already took that job. I'm not going to go ahead and do the sound. If you're just going to keep doing this, then why should I come back? But if you are desperate, which luckily you're not, talk to me privately. Talk to me on Discord. Talk to me on XG24. Talk to me on actually R24 on Instagram if you want to, or at least make a response if you decide to make a podcast here, because this is a podcast video, this is green screen, but I'm not going to go ahead and chroma key everything. So that's what I'm going to say here. I'm just not going to waste my time and just end things from there. We'll be right back after these messages, by the way. So in the meantime, here are my videos that I'm going to showcase you.
Yeah, I don't know. Kind of solo month. I might. Oh my god. Perfect. We the people. We the blue people.
Hey, what's good? Jon Inahuazo, and welcome back to another episode of Loner. We are now into our second half, or at least our second part of the segment. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video, which was the response to the film club. So once again, if you see me again, either hit me on Discord, actually 24 on Instagram, or just do a private talk with me. I think you already get the gist of it because I'm not really gonna repeat myself again. So I guess we can go ahead and talk about how underwhelming my summer was, just like how, the podcast club itself, or at least the first meeting, was a little bit underwhelming. It was just like 3 people, me, Jerry, and Samantha, I think. And we only just planned for a fundraiser. This one thing that's gonna happen next month. I don't know, but aside from that, I guess we can talk about the Dorney Park trip, since you can say it was underwhelming as well. So I was supposed to have fun, but then I lost my phone in the process after one ride, and everything was wrong apparently when I went from Newark to Pennsylvania. So what I should have brought at the end of the day, I should have just brought myself a backpack, and that was only because using a whole bag wasn't sufficient enough for me to go ahead and add more items and more items, from food to items. And then I just lost my debit card. I lost my phone, I lost my debit card, I lost my fan. So were the 3 things that I lost, or at least those were the 3 things that I lose in this entirety of my trip, which was like back in June. And I think that was like the day after, or at least the day during the semester ended. So at least as I said, I could have had fun, but because of that, I just felt like I wanted to forget about that trip at least. But I wish I actually had fun, such as going to Dave and Buster's, which never happened back in 8th grade. And at least I went to an amusement park, but it's owned by Six Flags. So technically, yeah, I had some fun. Now here's the thing. When it came to food and phone, it was mostly just expensive. I just didn't really get the reason why. And one thing I'll call it stupid is the fact that they don't accept cash. I don't understand the reason why they would go ahead and just say, we don't accept cash, we only accept credit card or debit card. Like, I was lucky enough because I actually brought my debit card with me. That was before I lost my debit card, and I wasn't really able to get it back. And neither my phone up until like nighttime. Around like 8 o'clock or 7 or so, I actually got my phone back, and I was just mostly like depressed. But I wouldn't say depressed, but I was mostly disappointed. That's all I can really say to myself for that. So my debit card was lost. I actually did save my money after making a purchase from Apple. So at least there was one thing. I actually, when I wrote this script, I actually have no idea what I was doing, because it's really redundant what I said. Back in June, I bought myself a Mac Mini, and now when Joseph Art, or at least Mr. Art, just responded to me to upgrade to a PC, and guess what? I actually do have a PC at home. The only thing is I'm currently not using it right now up until once we move to the new home, or at least once my dad starts a business, and then maybe we'll go ahead and just use a PC. But for now, I'm still going to stick with my temporary setup, since I would like to also say that my laptop has been damaged. And I just want to give you a brief story. So during two-dimensional class, the two-dimensional design class, I was with, let's just go ahead and say this. I have no idea how this one pencil, I think this one drawing pencil, entered the lid and then opened the laptop. Because when I went to English composition, like, center of action, can't really, I would just pronounce it as Professor T. So when I came to that class, I apparently just noticed that my laptop started to do some, rainbow cracks, which means my laptop, well, the monitor itself, or at least the screen, was damaged, and I was no longer able to use it, mostly because of that. So I never brought it up again up until the following week. I actually don't know whether it's now that it's now fixed, because I'm actually recording this episode the week before you're watching this episode, or at least listening to me. So let's just hope that I actually make it in time so I can just go ahead and do the midterm exam for at least, not the midterm exam, but the first exam for English 1, English 102. And now that I come think of it, I think I should probably do another episode where I rank my courses again, but only for the winter. Actually, not for the winter, but more for the fall semester. So far I'm going to say this. Currently, when it comes to college composition 1, it just feels like, or at least college composition 102. Now I just remembered. College composition 102. I feel like this teacher is kind enough, but if you have the patience of, for some reason my microphone is having some pops. If there's one thing I'm going to learn out of this, is just to go ahead and add a pop filter. So here's the thing. So it's just more. So if you're patient enough, she can be kind and caring. But unfortunately, if you have no idea what you're doing, then, well, too bad, because she's in the mood where you would say you should have already known by now. You should have already known that. I actually once did that when I was doing digitability, this this presentation, at least, because we were just forced to go ahead and read the question again, and then we were supposed to figure out the correct answer. And so one time I said we were gonna, you were supposed to know by now. You were supposed to notice by now, because obviously they knew. And they never allowed me to go ahead. They told me not to say that ever again. Like, that's just how disappointed I was with the autism program at Central High School. Now that I'm going at Essex County College, remember what I said already. Like, I actually have creative freedom, which means I'm now able to say whatever I want. The only thing that I cannot do, or at least saying, is profanity. But I mean, it's not really taking any disadvantage out of me, because really it's not a VisiPod video. Or at least I don't watch Hazard Hotel or, Hell of a Boss. I actually, now to come think of it, I'm just, all these things are going off topic, but I might as well just move on. So let me go ahead and go back to the Dorney Park thing, because for some reason, I'm going out of topic. So despite the long ride, I only rode in one amusement ride, I think, and it was the Wild Mouse. I just felt like I almost died out of it because of how, it was just uncomfortable. The ride itself was uncomfortable. I never liked it again. And it was a roller coaster. Not to say that I had fears of roller coasters to begin with, but my brother did warn me that I shouldn't go to the roller coaster. And when I went to the Wild Mouse thing, I just felt like I regretted waiting a whole 30 minutes or 30 to 40 minutes just only for one ride, and realized my phone was lost. Or at least my phone is lost. And the fast pass thing, I think the fast pass was useless, because I believe I did once had it. I just never went there for some reason. So you can say it was pointless. So despite that, I actually had a customized head, and I now wish I can customize that further, mostly because of the color schemes. But I mean, otherwise, at the end of the day, it just felt like it was one man, it was just only me alone, while everybody else was just having fun. And unfortunately, I guess if you can say, I just didn't brought my backup phone, which was an iPhone 11. Now, pretty soon, I will go ahead and upgrade that to an iPhone 17, and this will now be my official phone as soon as it replaces my Samsung Galaxy A35, which does a decent job, but I prefer to work with a lot of iPhones. That's one thing I'm going to say. And that's another thing I also want to mention about when Mr. Otto also said that I love Apple. One of the only reasons why I would say that is only because most of the classes that I go, they prefer Apple. Whether you see a MacBook Air, a MacBook Air, a MacBook Pro, or Mac Mini, there's just one instance where you're supposed to airdrop them. And so if you airdrop them, you're already doing a fine job. Actually, if you do airdrop them, then things going to be complicated. Because when it comes to Android, it becomes more complicated, and that's only the reason. Thus, I'm not really able to present anything without an iPhone, and now I have to figure out a different way to go ahead and submit them. While I don't bring my iPhone to the home. Like at least, I actually just realized the audio is starting to glitch, and my voice is currently just rambling. That's one thing I've just noticed as well for episode 9. Because apparently with the film club, they loved episode 9. Now I remember why I was rambling. I have no idea what I was talking about. And now hopefully I don't go ahead and, fuck this episode up just because I'm rambling. But otherwise, otherwise, let me go back on topic. So afterwards, I was just completely bored after one ride, and I never did anything else just aside from eating. So I was bored, and then it started to rain to where I just wanted to go home. Unfortunately, I felt like more lost. I felt like I was a lost kid, and I was up until the bus came. There was like only one bus left, and I remembered. I actually remembered there was only one bus left because I never knew. I was confused. I was lost. I had no idea what I was doing. And then until then, there were 2 Johns. So I said I was here. They were looking for me. I was already in the bus just because I was completely lost. So I just have no idea why they mislooked. All I said was, what the fuck? That's all I only said because but maybe at the end of the day, maybe it's this. They were confused with the 2 Johns that they never knew who the first John was or who the second John was. Jon Inahuazo and John whoever his last name is. But I don't know. Okay, I guess you can say all of that was just redundant at the end of the day. But at least I got something out of it. Which was eating funnel cake and some, bottles of water. And afterwards, I just came home and just got bored. I got more just disappointed. I just wanted to go to sleep. And that's what I really want to do at this point. I'm currently filming this for like 10 minutes or so, but at this point, I don't really care. If I'm being honest with you, I actually want to go to sleep. Mostly because it's my fault that I'm currently sleeping late and I drink 5-hour energy. I mean, it does help me, but, there are other clubs that matter as well. The PTA thing, I'm actually going to discuss more about that next week, including the Nothing is Independent. So, that's right. The Loner's going to come back, but with, if you already saw the promo for it, or at least they have promotional material for the first episode of Season 2. This is, of course, that Season 2, episode number 2, called Missed Opportunities. And this is my second missed opportunity. The first one, as you can see, was the response to the film club. And maybe I'll go ahead and add some commercial breaks, by the way, which includes some footage. So maybe I'll go ahead and publish my video, or at least my feed, of what I did in Dorney Park before my phone was lost and nothing else was documented. But that's all I can really say for now. Hopefully you can hopefully not really hearing anybody else. So I guess that's all I can really say. So otherwise, I think thought I had some fun, but I guess you can say it was a bit underwhelming. I wish I could go back there again, but since it's the fall, who knows? Maybe I'll just go to New York City. Maybe I'll just go to New York. Actually, that's the same thing, New York City, but they're 2 different things. No, but actually New Jersey or New York. Pennsylvania maybe one day, but I don't know. I'm still thinking of it. And I guess now for the last thing we can talk about is how my mom spent her 1 week vacation back in July. That was because we were supposed to go on a trip, but because everybody was busy, I was also bored as well. I barely even did anything aside from doing some music and then just, doing nothing. I barely did anything. That's just how awkward today's episode is, or at least once this episode was cool to watch, it's already awkward to watch or listen to. Sometimes I actually hate my voice whenever I film my videos on the Samsung. That's only because when it comes to the built-in mic, I record it. Maybe I'll go ahead and save that topic for another time because I don't know what I'm talking about. So within the span of 3 days, we barely did anything because we were promised that we were supposed to go to New York and Pennsylvania. At that time, I was supposed to buy I remember I was gonna buy a Jazzmaster, and if you already seen the thumbnail of it, you can already see what guitar that I bought, and that was currently out of Reverb, and I wasn't gonna go ahead and pay $619 for a Jazzmaster. And if you already know what a jazz master is, then you already know what I'm doing it for. Mostly for indie rock, but not just grunge and just garage and indie pop, however it is. But aside from the guitar, I actually only bought that later on after around August. And then we were supposed to go back to Pennsylvania, and I was gonna have another try. Like I was gonna go back to Dorney Park. Turns out we never did that at all. So we just did the same things over. We just did the same regular things. Just I barely went outside, barely had any fun, and then we just made some deposits. Almost every week I go ahead to the bank and I just do some deposits. That's where I get most of my money from. And if the college, I guess the college also gets its refund checks from the government. But unfortunately, because of the government shutdown, I don't really think I'm going to get the money. So at this point, but really at the end of the day, it's not going to affect my budget. Because the Loner is still a no budget show, even though I said that one episode that the budget was, the budget rose, and so that means I was going to give you a higher quality video, or at least a higher quality podcast. Yeah, I can tell you that that's a whole lie. I have no idea what I was doing at that when I recorded that. And in that summer episodes, yeah, hopefully you did enjoy that, because this was just only me, just filling out a couple of episodes. Because why not? I was gonna go, 9 episodes wasn't really. I felt like 9 episodes didn't really feel enough. There wasn't really enough episodes to consider as one season. But it didn't really matter at the end of the day. It didn't really matter because when I did record the additional episodes, I thought it was going to be additional material. Like, it was just mostly additional material. I guess you can say the church episode, it really didn't do well. Just want to give you a quick commentary on the rapture thing, because it's more apparent that as a Catholic, I never believed in this whole rapture thing to begin with. I told my brother that if the rapture never happens on that same day, then he owed me $50, and turns out he actually paid me the $50 because there was this one prophet who said something about how the rapture was gonna happen, how God told them this rapture is gonna happen, and September this, September that. It was like the same day where the club fair happened. So the exact same day where we had their club fair 2 weeks ago, it was also the same day where the rapture was supposed to happen. But guess what? Everybody else, like me, everybody, the whole society, they're all alive. They're all alive. It's just public embarrassment to say that I'm a Catholic and I don't believe in the rapture. Not to say the rapture, but the rumor that this whole rapture was going to happen. And then, they got... I guess there's one thing I would also like to say. It's more fortunate that when it comes to Ecuadorians, they would easily fall for AI stuff. And I thought the AI, even though I hated how generic the whole thing is, even the prompts, I feel like they're also using it creatively when it came to Professor Rager's class. I do appreciate the work made out of AI, but at the end of the day, I'm still going to be a human, doing some things produced by a human, made by a human, for humans. So even if I do use AI, it's just only for experimental uses only. But I do not tend to publish anything that's AI generated. And that means when it comes to AI generated actors, that's one thing I'm not going to condone either. If you'd like to know more about that, maybe you should just talk to the film club. Maybe not, because as I said last week, I said I was going to ghost him back, so why even bother? Why even bother? Anyways, but going back on topic, actually, I don't think I have any other topic aside from that, because really the food and water was running out. We were just wasting our time, just barely doing anything up until Thursday. And on that day, I actually got extremely bored after finishing a wish list. That's just how redundant my life is and how irrelevant it could be. Culturally relevant, that's one thing I would probably say is an over-exaggeration of what I do. But aside from that, it was completely pointless. We barely did anything. So at the end of the day, when it came to my summer, I only did some music. I only did one video for XG24, at least my YouTube channel. That video failed. That video flopped to where I decided maybe I shouldn't do it again. Mostly because my brother just kept annoying me and just said, "Oh, don't upload this. Don't upload this to YouTube. Delete that video." He just doesn't really support my passion at all. And I don't think my family would even support me anyway, aside from just doing art. do want me to do art, but I'm also going to be moving on to music. And I guess after this episode's done, I'm probably just going to go to the music club just so I can make them and see what I can do tomorrow. But I think that's all I can say. I'm just probably going to keep this episode, or at least keep this segment for 20 minutes and then just call it a day. It's already time to go ahead and for David to go ahead and record the digital outcast. So I'm just going to end it. I'm just going to end things here. So again, sorry for my rambling, but I'm completely bored and I want to go back to sleep. So might as well go ahead and just end things here. But not in the most suicidal way. I still support mental health. That's all I'm going to say. So remember this: even if you decide to take the green light to go ahead and go work at like 5 a.m. just to deliver some chickens, just to deliver some stuff, always prioritize your mental health, because you can go ahead and get $100, but like once you're busy, like once the taxes and all the college school works, like once all of that is going to fill up the schedule, that's all I'm going to say this: is like $100 really worth it when you have a lot of work to do? I'm just like really saying nothing at all. I'm just basically making a meaningless message. But to clarify some things, I'm just going to say this: always support your mental health, because even if you go ahead and go to work at 5 a.m. just for some deliveries, I mean, at what cost you're doing if you're just going to get paid for like $100 per week, and yet you sacrifice your sleep. Unfortunately, that's the same mistake that I do. I keep doing this mistake every week. Maybe I should really learn how to prioritize my mental health and maybe just try to lose weight. But not to say that I was fat this whole time, but whatever. I think I'm just going to go ahead and end things here before I ramble some more. So I'm just going to end it here. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching me ramble again on how underdeveloping my summer was, how boring my summer was. I mean, if you thought summer was fun to you, then that's good for you. Good that you actually had a wonderful summer. You had some fun. I just never did anything. Maybe it's just time for me to go ahead and go and just maybe pay for some bus tickets. Maybe not bus tickets, but some train tickets, and take a trip alone. Because never mind. I don't have a reason why I'm still thinking about it in my head. All right, I'm just going to go now. So, again, thank you for listening, and I will catch you guys next week with something more relevant and something that's more in my line, how independent television is ruined. So stay tuned for that next week, because I'm going to talk about how WPIX is irrelevant nowadays because of Nextdoor, and how I don't see independent stations succeed.
This has been a production of the Essex County College Podcast Club. Copyright 2024, all rights reserved.